This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and this is a cool episode. Nora O'Connor joins me for the second time, but it's her first as a solo artist. This time we get a chance to go a bit deeper into her musical past. She talks about being a child bartender at parties her parents would throw where eventually everyone would gather together and sing just for the joy of it. She went to college for music, but mostly for the business side of the industry. She's been a fixture on tour with Neko Case, and she discusses how learning bass for Kelly Hogan eventually led to that gig. But that was not her first musical credit. That would be a prog song by the band It. Nora also talks about rum and making great decisions. She's worked on so many great projects, and we touch on quite a lot of them, including Urban Twang, The Blacks, Andrew Bird, and the Flat Five. She's just released her third solo album called My Heart, and it's not just a hit with me, but also with my 18-year-old daughter. So she's definitely done something right. Pick it up on Prog Records or wherever you get music nowadays. Follow Nora on social media, and follow us at Performance ANX. And you can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety or get merch at performanceanx.threadless.com. Reach out on social media or the performanceanxietypod@gmail.com. Now get ready to learn the secret of Wind Wolf, the song underneath this intro by Nora O'Connor on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, this is Nora O'Connor and you're listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast. Thanks for listening. I have a record coming out October 7th that I'm not so shamefully promoting. It's called My Heart, and Prog Records has been so kind to release it. So check me out on Spotify and on iTunes and all the places and spaces you listen to music. Thanks so much. Is that enough? Do you want to know it? Okay, that'll do.
Thank you for joining me again. I know you came on a while back with the last Flat Five album and had a blast talking with you. That's right. A little less crowded this time. This is just you. So.
Just me, little me.
But I like to find out. We didn't really get a chance to dive too deeply into anybody's past at that point. But that's one of the things I really like to find out is how you got into music in the first place. What was your inspiration for following this path? Was there a lot of stuff playing in the house that really inspired you, or was it music lessons that your parents made you take, or how did you get into music seriously in the first place?
Well, I was definitely, I'm a self-taught musician. Did a lot of, my parents are Irish immigrants, and so there was a lot of Irish music blasting in the house. And then I just have these great memories of parties when we were little kids. We were the bartenders and all the grown-ups, like handing out highballs to all the grown-ups.
That's awesome.
At some point, people would just sing. At some point at the party, someone would just start singing. And, it's not like no one's trying to be a rock star. No one's everyone just sang when I was a kid. My father is a beautiful singer, and his sister and all their, friends and family. So there was a lot of that. And it's, not really an exciting story. I found myself doing musicals in high school. And then I went to college thinking I would kind of I have a music business degree, and where I went to college had a really good radio station. And so I did a lot of production in college, and that's kind of where I thought I was going because I'm a little bit older. And when I was in college, there were still a ton of record labels, and a lot of record labels in the Chicago area, like Warner Brothers and Arista and A&R and A&R, was that the name? Kind of the Warner Brothers, like all those little branches.
Yeah.
So I knew a lot of people who were A&R reps, and it just seems like that was something I was really interested in, working radio or working with artists. But, I joined a band in college, and I just kind of kept, here I am, like you say, how the kids, next thing you know, the kids are in college. Like, next thing I know, I'm 54 years old and I'm still, I just I just, it took me a while to kind of try to get myself where I'm surrounded by people I want to be surrounded with, who lift me up and who keep me wanting to stay, and I've been doing this a long time. And, there's always a moment where, wow, I should really go get a real job. And you know what? I think this is just what I do. Yeah. And I think I'm landing on that. Like, this is it, Mom. This is it. Sorry.
Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of the work. You got nothing to be sorry for. So you mentioned that, I guess we were just talking about how your plans were to be kind of behind the scenes in the record industry. But you were actually, so first of all, before we get even too deep into that, you're not just a singer, but you're actually a multi-instrumentalist. So what do you play, and how old were you when you started learning how to play music?
I started playing guitar, acoustic guitar. I got my first acoustic guitar when I was 21.
Okay.
So I was always singing, but I didn't start playing guitar until I was about 21. And I went to school in Southern Illinois, and there was a really wonderful folk and bluegrass community down there. And I really just kind of sat with my guitar around. There was a lot of jams and pickers in like the town where I lived, and people were just really gracious enough to let, here's a G, D, and a C. Now just try to keep up, Wow, and awesome. So, I kind of learned really fast because I'm just a pretty quick study, and I was obsessed, and I practiced really hard. And so I've always played acoustic guitar, which kind of led me to get an electric guitar and I don't play a ton of electric guitar, but I do when I need to. I tend to go straight to the acoustic guitar. It's just kind of where I go. I can play, I have a really good ear, so I can play things by ear and learn things pretty quickly. And then I'd say when Kelly Hogan put out a record on Anti, I Like to Keep Myself in Pain. I want to say that's like 10 years ago, maybe. I don't know. I'm not good at years, but she was putting a band together, and she was thinking about a bass player, and she's like, you should learn how to play bass. And I said, I should, and I'm going to. So I bought a bass. I took lessons from like all my favorite bass players in town. And then I just learned Kelly's whole record, and I came back and I said, okay, I'm ready to go on tour with you, because I just learned all your songs. And now I find myself touring with Neko Case, playing bass for her and singing backup. And when I was in the Decemberists with Kelly, we were both backup singers, but they just kind of kept handing me instruments to play these auxiliary parts on different songs, like learn this banjo part, learn this mandolin part, learn this baritone guitar part. So, I'm not a shredder, but I can support you and learn, help the song be where it wants to be with different parts.
That sounds amazing to me. Here's a banjo, learn this part. I would sound like the biggest mongoloid if you hand me a banjo and said, hey, just learn this part. Okay.
If you teach me, I will learn it.
Well, in looking at your discography, I get kind of fascinated by this stuff, because the first thing that I saw with your name on it wasn't country, alt country, folk. It was a prog song by the band It.
Oh my God.
That
Scott Munson.
Yeah, that kind of blew me away. The Eternal Time Clock by It.
For 7 hearts and 7 seas and all that lies in between, from the tops of the mountains to the valleys below, the rain of the clouds through time will flow.
Hey, that's not what I expected after, doing some research on you. I'm like, oh, okay, I know what genre she is, but you don't really fit in genres. You sing on prog, you've done folk, you do country, you do some southern rock stuff with the Blacks, and that kind of was cool, because that kind of sounded like maybe a more polished Drive-By Truckers kind of sound, which I really liked. That was really cool. But
Black.
It kind of blows me away that the range of stuff that you've done. It's amazing.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Hey guys, I've got some great news. Performance Anxiety and Pantheon Podcasts are giving away an exclusive VIP experience to see Nick Mason's Saucerful of Secrets. So head to pantheonpodcast.com/Nick Mason to enter. Find the link in the show description or head over to our Twitter, Facebook, or Nick Mason's Facebook page for the link to enter to win. Head over to pantheonpodcast.com/Nick Mason to enter. Find the link in the show description or head over to our Twitter, Facebook, or Nick Mason's Facebook page for the link to enter to win front row seat upgrades, a very special commemorative guitar pick shaped necklace carved down from a drum cymbal played by Nick Mason himself. You also get a selection of curated exclusive VIP merchandise, including a VIP laminate and lanyard, crowd-free shopping at a dedicated merchandise stand before the show, and on-site perks such as priority check-in, VIP express lane into the venue for ease of entry, and a dedicated customer service line. So enter now at pantheonpodcast.com/Nick Mason. Winners will be notified via email 1 week prior to the event, so enter now. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships or at work, not dealing well with the stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Try doing that in person. So join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And a special offer to Performance Anxiety listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/performanceanxiety. That's betterhelp.com/performanceanxiety. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. How did you get started doing with it on the Eternal Time Clock? Because that, like I said, that's Prog. That's totally different.
Yeah, that's totally Prog. So Scott Munson lived above my friend Jason Thomas, who I was in like this vocal folk band in college. And we were all just friends. And Scott was just this awesome, freaky guy. He was a sound engineer. I think he's still a sound engineer, lives out in San Diego. You know, so that was probably like 1990, that song that you heard. Yeah. And, you know, back then we were just like a group of squares, you know, only a couple of us were actually going to college and the others were like locals or had already graduated. And those are the people I hung out with when I went to school. And, you know, so I was friends with the guy who built the first recording studio in Carbondale, Illinois. Oh, wow. And, we started the first, you know, my bandmates started the first entertainment newspaper, the Carbondale Nightlife back then. So I don't know. I just kind of, you know, I found my people in college and, you know, and Scott had this project, and recruited me to sing backup. And, you know, I didn't know. I mean, I was just kind of faking it until I can make it kind of thing. And I was just down for, and I'm down. I'm just down for anything.
I heard that, and I heard, I guess maybe I should phrase it this way. Did you figure that out when you jumped on stage with Lonnie Brooks?
Oh, God.
Was that?
I owe Lonnie Brooks an amends. That was rum. That wasn't me. That was rum. Oh. How do you know about that?
I do my research.
Oh, God. I was with my friend Mike Beck, who Mike Beck was one of my first bandmates. We had a band called Dead Flowers, which was a Rolling Stones cover band.
My favorite.
And then we
Stones
also had a
song.
band called the Rocky Horribles. We did like Schoolhouse Rock and Rocky Horror Picture Show songs.
Nice.
Yeah, Lonnie Brooks at Fred's Dance Barn down in Southern Illinois. I jumped on stage because he was singing Sweet Home Chicago. And like, I'm from Chicago. I know the words to that song. He probably really needs a backup singer right now. I'm sure the best idea would be for me to jump on stage and grab the guitar player's microphone and start singing backup with Lonnie Brooks. It was one of my finest moments.
Rum gives you good ideas.
Straight rum is just genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The higher the proof, the better the idea.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah.
But I mean, you've done some other really interesting stuff like Urban Twang, not Prog.
That's right. Urban Twang, yeah, they recruited me. I was doing lots of like coffee shop gigs, and Max and Trish, who were the founders of that band, kind of plucked me out from my little solo thing. And I learned a lot being in that band. Again, like they taught me how to play some mandolin and some songs, and we made a couple records, and you know, that was really fun working with them.
Living in silence is sometimes lonely. Looking over my shoulder to see who's there. You were the spark in the darkness that surrounds me. And with your love, I found I'm not alone. Dedicated heart.
And I worked with them for a couple of years, and then I think after that I joined the Blacks and just started. Yeah, I moved around a lot when I was younger, just trying to find my spot, you know. And
then around that time, you also released your first solo album. Was that something that you were working on the whole time? Cerulean Blue. Was that something that was in the works while you were in Urban Twang? And
I think that came about. There's a place in Chicago called Uncommon Ground, and the owner started a little record label called Uncommon Underground Music, and I was one of the first CDs that he put out on his label. So yeah, that was all kind of happening at the same time, because I was doing a lot of Uncommon Ground was just kind of where we were playing, and they kept growing, and they were really just so supportive of us young players.
You've done so much work with so many people. Andrew Bird, Mavis Staples. How did you start getting into a lot of this support work? Was that something, because I'm assuming at this time you're still thinking about working behind the scenes at that point, or was that kind of by the wayside?
I feel like, once I moved up to Chicago and started playing solo stuff, and then kind of getting into Urban Twang, and then the Blacks, and then we did a show with Andrew Bird's Bowl of Fire, and Andrew and I really clicked and wanted to sing together, and so I kind of transitioned into Andrew's band.
Pockets of change don't drive my word down. Diamonds don't make me shine. It's a short life and a long time underground. I'll trade you money for wine.
After that, from there, I found a real comfortable place. Singing harmony was just what I was really good at. And, supporting another singer, I just found like that I really love doing that. So I just kind of put myself in that position to be someone that you call if you want harmonies on your record, or if you want someone to come and sing at your show and sing backup. I guess I put myself out there without even realizing I did. I guess I did,
Well, between first and second solo albums, I mean, there's a huge list of appearances. I mean, you appear on a couple compilations, like the songs of Kate Bush. You do the saxophone song. That's really cool.
All the places where I've seen you
I love the Wanda Jackson song you do.
Ah, thanks.
That was fun. That is amazing because it's a little different. I mean, you've got such a clear, beautiful voice, but at one point you hit this like growl scream thing at the end, and I like that. That is awesome. It's a beautiful rendition of the song, and then you hit that, and I'm just like, yeah, that's for me.
Thank you.
So
yeah, I was touring with Andrew Bird's Bowl of Fire at the time, and I just scooped them all up, and they came into the studio, king size recording studio, and we recorded it with Dave Trumpio, who now has a studio in California in this place called Gold Diggers, which is like a studio performance space artist haven. So I love like Andy Hopkins' guitar solo on that Wanda Jackson song is so great, and Andrew rips it on that too. That was really fun.
I love it. I think it's just an amazing version. And around this time is when you start also working with the New Pornographers, which I'm assuming is how you met Neko.
Yeah, I knew Neko before, because we were both, young and doing like Bloodshot showcases in Austin. And, so I knew Neko and like Neko and Kelly Hogan and I were, friends way back when, and then, Andrew Bird, when I was in Andrew Bird's band, we went to Canada and did some shows with the New Pornographers. And I think the New Pornographers came down to Chicago and did some shows with us. So that's like 2001 or something like that when I started doing shows with the New Pornographers. And then Carl had asked me to come out to Vancouver and sing on Electric Version, which, gosh, I don't know what year that was, maybe 2002 or something like that.
I think that was released in 03. I'm looking it up right now. 03, yeah.
Okay, so I probably recorded in 2002 with them.
And then you've got your second solo album that comes out around that time, 2004, Till the Dawn, which I love that album. That is such a wonderful album.
Thank you so much.
Were you working on songs for that the entire time, or was that a project that you just sat down and started till it was done?
I don't know. There's a lot of, I had a lot of like co-writing on that record, and I sang, I didn't write a ton of songs on that record. There's 2 songs that were written by Jimbo Mathis from Squirrel Nut Zippers that he worked up with Andrew Bird, and they gave me the cassette, and I ended up doing a couple songs, and I did like a Mount Pilot song, and I did a Drape song. I wrote a couple songs, and I did a couple covers. So, I was just really itching to get into the studio, and even though I hadn't written a lot, I still had all these songs that I was already singing. I love singing other people's songs. I love it. I do it all. I do it every day. So.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about socks for a second. Why not? It's a music podcast. But I tried a pair of socks from Boldfoot and loved them. I've only worn them once because my kids have stolen them. So in my household, that's the best endorsement I can give. And I guess it's fitting because the design I chose was Jailbird. The design I chose was Jailbird. I might keep that in. The socks are 100% American made, and 5% of all proceeds go to veteran charities. It makes sense, seeing that Boldfoot is a family and veteran-owned company. They have a huge variety of styles. So check out boldfoot.com and buy some of the best socks you've ever slapped on your feet. And help veterans while you're at it. That's boldfoot.com. So I guess was the intent to break out to be a solo artist, or was it just something that you wanted to just do in addition to supporting other people?
Yeah, it was just another thing. Like breaking out never even crossed my mind. It was just like, I just like the variety of it all. You know, I love singing with other people, singing for other people. I love being told what to do. Like I'm a really good, you know, secretary or administrative assistant in a band. You know, I love to write the set lists and rap chords and load cars and sing harmonies and play whatever. And then, you know, and then sometimes I'm just itching to do whatever I want. And that's when it's time to make a solo record, or that's when it's time to do some Nora shows.
It sounds like you've really got the best of both worlds going, where you can do stuff that you don't have to worry about, that you like doing. That's not, and I hate to say it this way, it's not high stress, because anything in the entertainment is stressful, but it's, you know, you don't have to be the one in charge. But then, I
love that. That's my favorite part. I love standing over there. 20 feet from everything. Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite thing to do. It is, you know, it's a lot harder to be the person standing in the middle of the stage.
But when you get that yearning to do that, you are able to do it. So I think you've got the best of both worlds going on.
Yeah. It's fun. It's really fun. I like the variety.
So on that second album, I do have to say, I absolutely love the songs Tonight and Revolver. Those are just amazing tracks.
So much. Yeah. Revolver was actually written by my friend Kevin McDonough, who was in a band called The Drapes. They have a killer version of that song. And it's a song I just love that little guitar lick in there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
I love it. That whole album it's just beautiful. You've also done something, and I didn't catch the entire thing, but I did see bits and pieces. And I wanted to know how you decided to do a show based around the entire Buckingham Nicks album, because that Frozen Love that you did is just killer. You go forward, I'll meet you there, and if you climb out to the cold freezing air, look down below you, darling,
well, it's my favorite Buckingham Nicks album. It's my favorite Fleetwood Mac album. It's so hard to get. I mean, I have it on, it's only available on vinyl. Yeah. I mean, you can find it on YouTube some places, but it's super rare, and they were so young, and it seems so raw and so fresh, and it's you know, I'm a huge Stevie Nicks fan. I'm a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, and I love her songwriting and Buckingham Nicks. It's just my favorite record, and I sing a lot. I've been singing for 20 something years with a local musician who's a good friend named Liam Davis, and I knew he would nail all the Lindsay parts, and it was just a fun project to do. I love when people like do whole albums, and I wanted to be one of those people. So I did it. I
love that too.
At the Hideout. And then we did it. We've done it twice. It's just a labor of love, I guess, singing all those songs, and just seemed like a cool project to put a band together and to do a record and call it a day. Just kind of an exercise, just kind of a, you know, working out all my music muscles, learning those songs.
I've also heard the work you've done with the Hush Drops, who I love. John Sanjuan, he's just awesome. He's been on the show. I love that guy to death.
Oh my God, he's a riot. I love John San Juan. Love him.
His guitar is it's like Crazy Horse. He's
yeah. And he plays upside down. He plays guitar
I
left-handed
didn't
upside down.
realize that. Oh my god.
He's a madman. He's a fucking madman. I love
He's
him so
insane.
much. He's so musical.
I do have a question. So you've worked with a ton of people in a supporting role, but let's talk about lady parts. You and Kelly Hogan. That's such a cool project you guys could have going. I heard one video where Kelly kind of explained it as you guys getting to sing the parts you want to sing when you're normally singing backup on those songs. I thought that was hilarious. And I thought it sounds like a really fun project.
Yeah, it is fun. And, I mean, Kelly and I have been, for lack of a better word, singing the lady parts on a lot of records, and we do it together very well, and honestly, lady parts, we've had like 4 gigs. We're never home. We're never in the same town at the same time. We barely have a set list, but we did actually record. We both toured with the Decemberists for like 3.5 years or something, 2015 to 2018. And Bloodshot was turning 21, and they asked us to submit a song about booze. And so we both love this song by Ron Sexsmith called Me, Myself, and Wine.
Yes.
And we recorded it with the Decemberists on a day off in Omaha, Nebraska at your man from Bright Eyes studio.
I'm making the most of my loneliness in the place where I am lonely best. Willow, don't weep for me now. I'm having a real good time. Me, myself, and wine. Raising a toast to my phonograph as the ghostly music fills.
It was great, and everybody was willing. They're like, "Yeah, no problem. We'll do this." And they all donated their time, and we went to the studio. We recorded this song, and so yeah, Lady Parts is it's a band that Kelly and I have, and it's just our sacred little place we can go to sing any song we want to together. Yeah.
I love how your voices mesh together in the flat 5, lady parts. It's just great. I love the flat 5 because I hear what I hear a lot about in your new album. You've got a lot of wit. And it comes through. I mean, in the flat 5, the lyrics are hilarious. It's amazing. It's a combination of like swings and beautiful harmonies, sharp, witty lyrics, and take out the swing part and add more like country, indie, and you've got your new album. The humor in your music is one of the things that draws me into it, and I think sometimes it's subtle, but it's very sharp at the same time. For example, on the new album, it's Soar. Run around with your pants off. I'm trying to remember how the lyric goes. With your pants down. It's the last time you laughed that hard. That cracked me up.
Drank too much and ended up in a field behind the courthouse. You ran around with your pants down. It was the last time we laughed that hard. Ooh, it's always something. Hey, ooh, my broken heart is sore.
It made me think about stupid things that I've done. Times that I did not jump on stage with Lonnie Brooks, but
oh god,
pants.
That'll be the death of me.
Pants falling down, people running around crazy. But yeah. I love it. And Tarot Card, another great track. But I think my favorite example of your wit on this album, and my favorite track on the album is It's All Right Now.
It's all right now. We talk the whole thing over. We understand each other, and we won't be seen
me. Did you catch that?
No.
So there's one cover on the record. So I'm sorry to let you down here, but that's Margot Guerin, and she's a songwriter in 60s. She actually just died last year. But
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was turned on to her in the last few years, and that song is, I just wanted to learn that song because the chords are insane. And so that was an exercise. Like, I'm going to sit down and learn the chords to this song. And then I just decided, let's just throw one cover on the album.
And that's
the one that it ended up being. So those aren't my words, but it's kind of creepy, right? It's kind of a creepy breakup song.
It
and
is.
like my last record, I put one of my favorite breakup songs, which is That's All Right by Fleetwood Mac. So maybe I just need to have one creepy or one sort of breakup song by someone else on every album. I'm not sure. But what lyric on that one did you like?
Oh, it's hard. All right. I have to look them up real quick, but
yeah,
the whole theme of it's such a beautifully sung song, but it's all about stay away from me, don't touch me. I think that was my favorite. The word says don't touch me is
be careful not to touch me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part of the song, because I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, this is going in a different direction, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I love this.
Yeah.
From what I've heard with the Flat Five and some of the other and some of your solo stuff and Soar and all that, it kind of fit in with the lyrical content that I've heard from you. So it's it's definitely my flavor of song. So so you've got some of your friends playing in this with you. So it's Casey McDonough from Flat Five and NRBQ, Scott Ligon, also NRBQ and Flat Five. Let's see, Alex Hall and Steve Dawson contributes.
Yeah.
So you've got quite an amazing group of guys on that album with you.
Yeah. Well, Steve Dawson, I just really respect him as a songwriter, and he's also a teacher. And like when I started writing these songs, he's somebody that I wanted to send, like, hey, can you listen to this demo? Like, am I on the right track? Or can you look at these lyrics and just what do you think? And he just has a really creative, critical, friendly way of saying, why don't you take that verse out? Why don't you cut this, or why don't you try, I wanted to, I really was seeking his advice as a mentor with some of my songwriting, and he gave me a lot of good advice. And so I recorded a couple songs at his studio. And then, Alex Hall, who is the drummer of Flat Five and who also recorded both Flat Five records at his studio, he knows my voice. He knows what microphones to use. He was great to work with. I mean, he helped me produce this record. And Casey and I, since the pandemic, we just kind of started doing these duo shows. So Casey and I have just been working together a lot, and there's just no better bass player I can think of.
Yeah.
To have, and I mean, if anything on this new record, Casey's bass playing is spectacular.
Yes.
And it's my favorite, one of my favorite parts of this record. And I couldn't resist but ask Scott Ligon to come in like a couple of days. I didn't want it to be like Nora with the Flat Five, but I couldn't help but ask Scott to play guitar solo or play keyboards. And then, I wanted to have the opportunity to do most if not all of the vocals myself, just to have that experience and that journey of building harmonies and stuff, which is so fun for me.
Okay, so that was my next question, actually. Are the harmonies are absolutely gorgeous, particularly the one that comes to mind is Cambridge Cold.
Play the little east downstairs, then one time we got to play upstairs, where there was that meant the big time we were going somewhere. There were dancers everywhere, and little kids laughing at that.
Oh, thank you.
Is that you harmonizing with yourself, or is that some of the other guys?
that is me. I think, I did. I also did. I think I did the vocals for that song and tarot card at home. So I recorded in my home studio / filthy basement, which was a really fun experience for me because I can, there was no one else around. I could take as long as I want. I can play and not feel self-conscious about it. So that's kind of where I build all those little bits of harmonies for Cambridge Cove in the basement.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And the filthy basement adds something to it. If it was a clean, pristine basement, it wouldn't be nearly
as filthy. It's just like an unfinished, pipes and mice kind of a place.
Much like my basement.
Yeah.
So this album, was this something that was in the works for a while, or is this a result of being locked up and unable to tour for 2 years, basically?
I think it was that, and I just kind of feel it's kind of long overdue. Not that. I mean, the songs came out when they came out, and I guess I was ready to just see what was going on inside, and then I just finally kind of let myself be open to the process of writing, which I might not have allowed myself for a very long time because I was kind of comfortable in my career of touring with these other bands and raising my kids. And, it was just like the timing was right to just see what was in there. And I had been, COVID came, obviously, COVID, people have all sorts of COVID stories, but I started playing these backyard parties in my town, for like 20 people all spread out. And it was this kind of weird it was almost kind of magical because at the time, nobody was eating out at all. We weren't doing anything. We weren't visiting our families. We weren't traveling. We weren't eating out. We weren't going, nothing was going except for these little backyard parties or bonfires. And so I just started doing a ton of those. And I guess I just realized, I think it would be really good if I had more of my own material for these solo shows. And so let's just start writing some songs. And that's what I did.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, so see, something positive came out of all of this.
Yeah, I think so. I think, it's not black and white. There's a lot that came out of all of this, but that is a positive thing for me anyway, that I would say that I realized I really enjoyed doing solo stuff again. And then I wanted to just kind of see what I had to offer myself. Yeah. And I just wanted the experience of trusting myself and growing and having the experience of going into being the one to make the decisions and to arrange the songs. And it was just a great growing experience for me to make this record. I loved it.
Well, you've got some amazing tracks in here. You've got some stuff that is just, I could hear it being played on the radio, like Fare Thee Well, My Heart, the title track. That's got the great bouncy piano, little kind of pop sensibilities to it. Vocals throughout the entire thing, but there's one track that just intrigued me because you're known mainly as a vocalist, but you've got one instrumental on the song, Wind Wolf.
Yeah.
So as a vocalist, what made you decide to write Wind Wolf and keep it an instrumental? And what is Wind Wolf?
So Wind Wolf is a made-up character, some sort of spirit animal, lion, bear, something. But also what it is, when I made the demo for that song, I thought I was typing Winwood because I was thinking Stevie Winwood, but I accidentally typed Windwolf instead of Winwood. And then I had this visual of this beautiful creature that is all good and all knowing. So maybe Windwolf is my higher power. I'm not exactly sure.
Did you make up that whole bear lion thing then?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
I did.
Excellent. Excellent.
I did. Yeah.
I believed it.
Yeah. And so there was a day we were in the studio and I had this song and I just happened to have, Scott and Casey and Alex, I had everybody. I'm like, let's get this down. While I have you here, let's go ahead. And so we all set up, we all just recorded that whole thing in one room, and I took it home and listened to it, and I was going to write lyrics, but in the back of my mind, I did want to have an instrumental on the record. So I think I might write words to it about this whatever this Windwolf is. Maybe for the next record, I thought about doing that. It would be fun if it came back with lyrics another time. I thought that would be a clever idea. And I just really I just loved listening to it the way it was. And then I had Steve Dawson add harmonium on a different day. He came into the studio, brought his harmonium and played. And I think that just kind of soars throughout the song and it's really nice. So I just thought it was done.
Why do I get this picture of Steve walking into the studio and hey, what you got there? Oh, harmonium. I just thought I'd bring it in today. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We use it on a couple of things. I thought it was I thought I wanted accordion or something. And then I knew I wanted to use harmonium because we had toured with this woman, Olivia Cheney, when we was opening up for the Decemberists. And then they made a record together and she would play her harmonium and sing, and it's so gorgeous and it's such a beautiful instrument. And Steve just happened to have one, so there you go.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love Steve's music. I got introduced to him by doing this podcast too. So he came on a little while back. I didn't really know much of his stuff, but Funeral Bonsai Wedding is just killer stuff.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Neat.
So you're about to hit as we're recording this, you're just literally days away from hitting the road with Neko Case.
Right.
And the album doesn't come out until the day after my wedding anniversary. So, yeah, 20
the anniversary.
Thank you. 21 years this year.
Nice work.
So, mostly hard work on her part, not, so she's got to put up with this. So after the tour with Neko, are you planning on supporting the album with any shows, any tours or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. I really want to. I can't even begin to explain how shitty it is to book your own tours and how hard it is. I just dread the idea of doing that. But I'm I come home at the end of September. The record comes out October 7th. So I've got some of these little events happening, maybe go do all Chicago stuff, do some record stores. I have a record release party October 22nd at Evanston, at this place called Space in Evanston. I'm going to go up to Madison and play Kiki's House of Righteous Music, which is this awesome house party. And this woman that puts on house shows. And I'm hoping to string together a living room tour in the spring. Oh, wow. But I'll be doing, I'm going to play all over Chicago as much as they'll have me. Because I think I have a new pornographers tour at the end of this year too. So between the tours, I'm going to work on my Nora stuff and play some shows for sure. Oh, that's awesome. Man, it's too bad I'm several hours away because I would... Where are you? Where do you live? Winchester, Virginia. Okay. Home of Patsy Cline. Oh, excellent. Excellent. So, well, if you know of any people who have living room shows near you, send them my way. And I'll put you in my route. We've got some really cool smaller venues in town. And I actually just found one today called The Monument. So cool. I have no idea how living room tours work, but if I can figure something out, I will definitely be in touch. And because honestly, ever since you and Kelly and Casey came on with Flat 5, I've just become a huge fan. Thank you so much.
I love your voice. I love Kelly's voice. I love how the two of you harmonize together, and I'm dying to be able to see you guys live. So hopefully you'll be able to come out to this area at some point where you're the main focus, because I think that would be just a wonderful show. I'd love to hear a bunch of these songs live, and I just really. I'm gonna try to support this album as much as I can.
Thank you.
Many people. My daughter, who you met earlier, loves it.
So sweet.
She's actually very upset that it's not out yet right now because she can't add it to her Spotify. So
not yet. Soon, very soon.
I said you're gonna have to wait, kiddo.
Yeah.
But once it's in, she's definitely adding the entire album to her Spotify list. So
awesome.
So you're hitting the 18-year-old demographic.
The kids love me. The kids love me.
Well, how can people follow you and follow what you're doing? Any of the tours you're on, and pick up the album when it's out?
Yeah, well, Pravda Music, Pravda Records is putting out the show. They have a website, pravdamusic.com. I have a website I'm about to launch, NoraO'ConnorMusic.com. And then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And I usually will post shows and links to videos and merch in those spaces.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on today, so I really do appreciate you taking almost an hour at this point to talk to me about your album. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really good to see you again, and best of luck and health to you.